we're going to run through a presentation of the GP 2013 solution that is due to be, I guess, generally available here sometime in December. So I'm going to turn it over to Rich, who's with Microsoft, who's going to go through a good portion of the presentation, and then Ed is going to jump in a little later on to go over how you guys would transition over to the 2013 release from a licensing and cost perspective. We're going to try to get through there's a lot of information to get through here, so we are going to be monitoring chat if there are any questions. And if we don't have time to get those questions answered during the webinar, we are going to be sending out a copy of the presentation, and we'll send out all the questions and answers to all attendees. So Rich, I'll kick it over to you and we can get started.
Great, thank you, Michael. And good morning, everyone, and thank you all for joining us today. As Michael said, my name is Rich Bellow, and I'm a technology specialist with Microsoft, and I focus on our Microsoft Dynamics solutions across the board, all 4 of our ERP solutions and CRM. I give you a brief history. My history is actually with Microsoft Dynamics GP. I joined Great Plains through acquisition of a software company called Real World back in 2001. So my experience with Microsoft Dynamics GP has gone back to the 6.0 version. So I've been able to see the application itself sort of morph into something much greater than it was when we came sort of a point solution for bookkeeping and financials to much more of an ERP and integrated solution that's leveraging a lot more of the Microsoft stack to make your business processes easier. So again, I appreciate y'all taking the time today. A little bit later on, Ed Crawford, one of my cohorts here at Microsoft, will be talking a little bit about that transition process of how you get to Microsoft Dynamics GP 2013. So what I want to talk about just briefly is what Microsoft views as a dynamic business. And there's really no pun intended when we talk about the dynamic business. It's actually terminology that our greater Microsoft organization use, and it just so happens that we are a part of the Microsoft Dynamics family. What I'll also be doing is actually getting into the GP 2013 web client. There is a new user experience that is going to be available with GP 2013. And it's going to enable you to deploy the application to, say, remote locations without necessarily the need for terminal services that many of you might be leveraging today. We'll be running down. We've got many slides. I'll be picking and choosing several to talk about as it relates to key new enhancements for the GP 2013 offering. And then I mentioned Ed will be going ahead and talking about how you get there and what the implications for that are. So what we at Microsoft often talk about, a terminology we use in the greater Microsoft organization, is the dynamic business. And Microsoft Dynamics GP truly enables you to become a dynamic business in today's global economy. In businesses today, as you are well aware, I'm sort of preaching to the choir here, if you will, is there are many different factors that govern the success of an organization. A lot of them have to do with the macroeconomic environment that we find ourselves in today. Things were not so great a couple of years ago. Maybe they seem to be improving. There's also geopolitics involved, so not only here, our recent election here in the United States, but also as it relates to your business, how is your business affected globally? Are there other global concerns that govern the success of your organization? And I think when we also look at the success of our organization, maybe most importantly is the people that we have working for us and beside us within our organizations, and understanding their needs as individuals and making sure that they have clear sort of visibility into what your needs are as an organization. And is there a way in which you as an organization can help sort of mitigate or make easier sort of that work-life balance? When your employees come or team members come into work, are they struggling? Are they handcuffed by the systems and tools that you have in place because they have to navigate to 15 different or 4 different tools or filing cabinets and things like that? The other thing is obviously technology. The technology that's available today has far exceeded what was available when I first joined the Great Plains team back with GP 6.0. And that also includes cloud. And cloud meaning, how can we easily access software and tools to make the lives of our people and so forth far better and far easier with less hassle. So that's really something that Microsoft and Microsoft Dynamics has a pretty good handle on in terms of where our technology is going. We are obviously a sort of a market leader in the technology side of things. We offer a vast platform that enables us to provide those efficiencies to your organization. So when we talk about that dynamic business, we talk about proactive applications, applications that enable you to work the way you would like to work. Case in point is maybe the home pages that you've seen in the latest iterations of your GP deployments. We provide you with the charts, graphs, KPIs, and look and feel that you would like when you come into the application. So we can enable you as users of the tools to be proactive in the way you're making decisions by providing that relevant and meaningful information to you. We also, to be a dynamic business, you also want to be connected, whether that's a base level EFT for payables and receivables and bank reconciliation, enabling you to interact with other organizations, in this case your banking institutions, to make things more streamlined so that your cash flow is improved, so that you can pay your vendors on time at a specific time, reconcile the books, and be more efficient and move on to again, business side of things rather than that administrative side of things. And also, when you look at an organization, you want to tackle what we call workloads, work suites, or work streams. There are different terminologies that we use across Microsoft. Is our solutions enable you to target specific aspects of your business and tackle them as you wish. So you may deploy your core financials, GL, AP, AR, but we do have a new line of business in the professional services realm. You can then go ahead at any point in time and start deploying professional services functionality that might come with your Dynamics GP deployment. So we enable that dynamic business to work the way you would like it to work versus sort of being pigeonholed into a set of functionalities that are pretty restrictive in terms of their capabilities. And what we strive within our Microsoft Dynamics solutions, specifically within Dynamics GP, is simplicity and agility. You can have Microsoft Dynamics GP enables you to configure your applications the way you do your business. It doesn't take hours and tens of hours and weeks and months and so forth to deploy the solution, to alter the way your screens look. It's designed to be simple. It's designed to be agile so that you can use this tool to the way that you'd like it. Again, one of the other aspects is the cloud offering, and even more specifically with our GP 2013 offering is how can we access this application with a very light footprint without mandating a lot of IT infrastructure to push this application out to our remote users, to our users either in the field or in satellite offices or on maybe mobile devices. Well, we can leverage the power of the cloud with our dynamic solutions. And obviously, Microsoft Dynamics and Microsoft technologies enable you to do that across many different platforms, whether we're talking our dynamic solutions or whether we're talking about our greater platform with Microsoft Azure offerings in the cloud and so forth. And it's, again, provided to you in your terms, whether you want to have it deployed on premises, hosted by your partner, or hosted by Microsoft. Those are all going to be offerings that we'll see. Whether you want to have a rich desktop client that you interact with, that you have really robust control over the features, functions, capabilities, and so forth, or whether you want it to be deployed over a web browser so you have a really light footprint across the web. And then you have the ability to determine exactly how you'd like to have it licensed, whether you want our ongoing perpetual licensing or pay-as-you-go. So going forward, for some new customers, maybe software as a service is going to be something that would be interesting to them. So what I'm going to do right now, with your permission, is to go ahead and show a little bit of our Microsoft Dynamics GP 2013 web client. And right now on my desktop, you should see, actually I'm running, this machine is running Windows 8. This is our latest release of our operating system, so you have the smooth touch and feel. Now you have the ability to use your mouse clicks and so forth. But what I'd like to go ahead and do is show you how our Microsoft Dynamics GP application can leverage the power of Windows 8, the browser capabilities, and so forth. So I'm just going to click here on my home screen, and I'm going to click our Microsoft Dynamics GP icon. And you'll notice what I'm in right now, just to sort of make a proof point, is we are in a Internet Explorer 10.0 right now. So we're in a browser page. I've logged into this particular user, and I've entered in my Microsoft Dynamics GP credentials. So I'm in the system right now. I'm in the home page of Microsoft Dynamics GP 2013 within the browser-based experience. Now if you look, it looks very similar to the home page that we have within the desktop client. So as time goes on, what we're actually doing with the web browser aspect or user experience is we're continuing to revise, extend, and enhance it. With this initial brush, we are looking right now at Dynamics GP 2013, and this is a beta instance of it. So if anything goes wrong, we'll blame it on the beta. However, what we're continuing to do is extend the usability of the application so that right now, sort of in this initial release of the web browser, you'll get sort of core financials, AP, AR, general ledger, some inventory, a little bit of HR. But as time goes on, we will continue to extend that capability on into the more complex distribution capabilities, project accounting, manufacturing, field service, and so forth. So in this initial brush, we've got your core, what we oftentimes call GLAPR offerings, GLAPAR, with some invoicing and inventory capabilities thrown in there. And as time goes on, you'll be able to leverage more features and functions within the application. Now that also will extend to many of our ISV solutions. The way this particular user experience runs is if that tool, the ISV solution that you may have deployed, is written in Dexterity or leverages the Dexterity user experience that we have on the desktop, this particular user experience can be brought into this web browser as well. So on the roadmap is the inclusion of many of our ISV solutions that are written in Dexterity. Those ISVs are going to be able to bring their solutions to this web user experience as well. So we're really excited about that. Our ISVs are really excited about that, to be able to bring that seamless look and feel and aspect to the browser. So many of you today may be using remote connectivity to access Microsoft Dynamics GP. You're probably leveraging it using terminal services, or maybe you're using Citrix. And in order to deploy those particular solutions, it requires a little bit of bandwidth, a little bit of infrastructure in the back end to push that. It's somewhat of a heavy footprint. So what we've done is we're actually using Microsoft's Silverlight platform to present this user experience. So when I click around this application and I'm expanding and contracting different aspects and charts and KPIs, all the power that's being used to publish and show this information is all actually taking place on a centralized server. So it's really not using much of anything on my localized desktop. So that enables you to leverage maybe other hardware that you have that may not be robust enough to handle the desktop client for Microsoft Dynamics GP. You don't have to install anything on that desktop client to use this browser-based experience. So again, it makes that infrastructure requirement far less than you might with terminal services and so forth. So let's take a look around the user experience. You noticed I did go ahead, charts, KPIs, and dashboards that we have available to you here on this home page. We can go ahead and expand the dashboards and charts that we have. We can also go ahead and view this in full screen. So if we want to view this report and maybe interact with it rather than just leveraging it as a chart, we can go ahead and do that. Again, we're still completely in the browser-based experience. You can see Internet Explorer here, and it's going ahead and it's pinging that report server. server loading this report, or Excel-based reports, or the internal reports that are generated by Microsoft Dynamics GP in the internal report writer. So for this example, we have the ability in this particular SQL Reporting Services report to drill down on this information and view the underlying information. We also then can go ahead back to our home page, again, view this report. We could actually, even from this user experience and this browser-based experience, edit this report if we wanted to as well. So if we need to enter in variables or we need to change a format, we could do that as well in this particular report experience. We can drill down into these reports, again, view the underlying information, expand the data as well. So again, we've got some robust capabilities right here within the browser experience. Now, one other aspect and one of the benefits of the desktop client is you were actually able to go ahead and export this data. You're able to export this data in the desktop to, say, Excel or Word and so forth. Well, within this browser-based experience, you can do exactly the same. So we can export this report into Excel. And what am I going to do? I'll go ahead and open this report in Excel. So if we then need to go ahead and use this report and do some pivoting and additional analysis on that, we can do that as well. Now you'll also notice, or you may notice, this user experience in Excel is a little bit different. I'm actually using our Excel 2013 from our 2013 offerings as well. Now this is fully compatible with earlier versions of Office as well. I just like to show you some new bells and whistles that Microsoft has to offer. So not only do we have the ability to expand that report within the browser-based user experience, but we can do that here in Excel as well. So that detailed underlying information is also viewable here in Excel, all within that browser-based experience. So in this particular case, I am using the desktop version of Microsoft Excel. If I wanted to save this, say, to a file share or to a SharePoint document library, I could go ahead and use the online versions of Office and Excel. So the entire experience wouldn't be leveraging anything on my desktop. I'd be using the online versions and the browser-based versions of Excel and so forth to navigate around the system. So some pretty powerful and exciting enhancements that have been brought to bear just via the browser. So we're now back in the home page of our system. We obviously have our to-do lists and our queues that many of you are used to using when navigating around the system. We'll go ahead and it shows as though we have 2 past due customers. Some of you may be familiar with this particular handy tool being brought to you within the browser itself, Smart Lists. So you have the ability to access all of the smart lists that you might have created within your desktop clients that are saved to the system. And additionally, you have the ability to create, save, alter, modify smart lists here within the browser as well. So we haven't sort of ratcheted you down to sort of a generic sort of lipstick-oriented user experience. We're enabling you to use some really strong capabilities within the system. Double-click on Mahler State University here, and you now see within this browser a window that looks remarkably similar to the customer maintenance window that resides within the desktop client with some slight changes. It actually looks a little bit slicker here. We've updated the user experience and the fonts that you have the ability to access here. Instead of going in and clicking on the buttons to do extras and accounts and so forth, we actually create a tab user experience. So the GL accounts that are accessible for this particular or available for this particular customer. The address buttons and bars are up right here on the address tab. The specific options that are available within the system as well. And what we also have built within the system, and I probably should have we have the ability to do the addresses, and I have seen a demo, and I think that's it right there. Within that browser-based experience, we launched Bing Maps, so we can query on directly from that address window within the browser-based experience in GP 2013 and access mapping capabilities by Bing. So it's pretty exciting that we have the ability to extend and enhance the capabilities of Microsoft Dynamics GP 2013 by leveraging much of the Microsoft platform that we have to offer. So if you need address verifications and things like that, you can do that all right here within the user experience. So some pretty powerful stuff that we have within the system. You'll also, I don't know if you also notice, I've got Smart Lists open. Let's go under Financials. And we'll just go under Cards. We'll pull up a GL account here. Now what you'll also notice, same sort of navigation capabilities, cash operating accounts, your navigation buttons are all here, but you'll also notice that I can have multiple windows open at one time. So I've got Smart Lists open, I have my customer maintenance window, and I could do specific account transaction inquiry windows, and I can have access to all of them here within this single browser experience. It doesn't pop up and open multiple browsers for me to navigate around. I can simply do this all in one experience. I have the preview capability to navigate, so if I have 3 or 4 windows open and want to navigate to a specific one, I can preview them here right within the browser. So some pretty robust and rich capabilities that are available here within the system. Reporting capabilities, access to our Microsoft infrastructure, and so forth. So some really, really exciting stuff that's available here within the system. Switch companies, simply click on Contoso, enter and log into a specific company. Again, same security rights and privileges and regiments are in place that you have today, so you don't have to redo everything for a web-based user experience. It all flows through that single user experience here that you would have within the desktop client. So with that sort of is the really cool bells and whistles sort of demonstration that we have to show you today. I hope you're anticipating and thinking through you as an organization, how might you be able to leverage some capabilities as it relates to that web browser. Do you have remote locations that would like access? Do you have satellite offices that you'd like to maybe enable them to enter in payables vouchers without having to snail mail the actual physical vouchers on a daily basis or FedEx them? That often happens, or fax them. Can you enable those users to access the capabilities within the application from that remote location? So real exciting possibilities within the GP 2013 release. Within the GP 2013 release, the web-based browser experience is just one of the enhancements that are being brought to bear for our customers and our existing customers. There are well over 100 enhancements that are being deployed within the GP 2013 release across business intelligence, across core capabilities, whether we're talking general ledger, whether we're talking fixed assets, field service, our distribution capabilities, HR and payroll. So we are continuing to revise and extend and enhance the capabilities that are Microsoft Dynamics GP. We obviously know, I've been around for years, and when Microsoft acquired several other ERPs, what does the roadmap for GP look like? Am I making a wise investment? Well, in essence, I'm here to say that you have made a wise investment within the Microsoft Dynamics product family. We have very robust product roadmaps available for GP on past, I think they're publicly stated until 2017 right now is the latest release, and we will continue to revise, extend, and enhance and bring new capabilities to the application because it meets such a unique need within the greater North America marketplace for Microsoft. Some new enhancements that you all might find fairly relevant to your organizations across, as existing customers, across core financials, reconcile to bank GL, and we'll get a little bit more in depth in that in just a little bit. Fixed assets has some great capabilities that have been brought to bear. And it's funny, I see many of our customers, especially many of our existing customers, that don't necessarily realize that Microsoft Dynamics GP has fixed assets. Many of them manage it in a third-party solution, external to the application, and then enter in their journal entries when it comes to depreciation time. Many still manage all of the assets and their depreciation within Excel. GP has some great fixed assets capabilities built right within it, fully integrated with general ledger, fully integrated with our distribution modules in terms of purchase orders. So if you're issuing a purchase order for a capitalized item, you can take the description, the value, and so forth from that purchase order and automatically bring it into the fixed assets module as well. As it relates to inventory, sales order processing, and our distribution, we've added some great enhancements to inventory, purchase order processing, prepayments and POs, tolerance handling for inventory and receipt of stock from the purchase order module. And then as it also relates to sort of the system and infrastructure within Microsoft Dynamics GP, we've added support for 64-bit Outlook. So you can send emails, do Word forms, export to Excel within a 64-bit environment, all in a really streamlined way. One of the other aspects that's really cool, many of you have been asking, is selecting a printer at the time of printing. So when you go ahead and you print a particular report, you can select to which printer on the fly that it goes to versus having to have it set up, and you all know the rigor that was behind that process. The other aspect is SQL reporting services. On a continuing basis, Microsoft Dynamics GP is continuing to leverage our Microsoft infrastructure, and that includes Microsoft SQL reporting services. So you now have the ability to access and generate those SSRS reports right within the Microsoft Dynamics GP window. So you don't have to go to a separate form, you don't have to go to a separate window or a file share location or SQL reporting services as a tool to access those reports. You can get those right within the system itself. So again, we're trying to make your lives easier so you don't have to navigate around the system. Some of the high-level things now. This is we've got probably about 30, maybe not 30 slides, maybe 30 slides that we're going to get through, and I'm just going to touch on, I think, some of the important ones as it relates to the specific enhancements that you might find most interesting. And as it relates to this particular area, multi-tenancy. If you are an organization that has remote deployments of Microsoft, or that has a centralized deployment of Dynamics GP, and you deploy it to different organizations within your organization. So you might have different departments or divisions or sister companies that leverage GP in a centralized deployment. Sometimes, based upon legal requirements, you have to have separate deployments. Multi-tenancy removes that requirement, so your organization can deploy a single deployment of Microsoft Dynamics GP and leverage it across multiple separate legal entities without the systems interfering with each other, so you can maintain your audit control requirements and so forth. So there's been some great enhancements to that as well. Some changes to your home pages. We continue to enhance the charts and KPIs and dashboard capabilities. We've included more out-of-the-box roles so that you as users can select a role and maybe 80% of what you do when your day is presented to you, and you simply modify it from there. Again, selecting the printer, support of report destinations, some really exciting capabilities as it relates to business intelligence and leveraging, again, that Microsoft stack. Password-protected Word documents. So you may have documents that you generate within the Word forms that we have within the system. And you may, sometimes there may be confidential information or privacy concerns. Well, you can now, from Dynamics GP, set passwords for those Word forms. So when you send them to individuals or you as internal constituents need to access them, you can have a password set so you can secure that information as well. You also have the ability to leverage more of those Word forms and those Word templates within sales order processing. So you're not restricted to one or two invoice formats or statement formats. You can leverage a great deal more of the capabilities and forms that we have generated for you without you needing to go ahead and alter them or change them. Journal entry for historical years, or journal, I should say, inquiry. So earlier versions within your inquiry windows for general ledger, you only had the ability to do the inquiry on an open year. You can now go back into historical year information. You can easily now, with built-in capabilities that leverages Microsoft Dynamics Excel, reconcile your bank reconciliation. So if you need to clear or reconcile the values that are in your general ledger from the values that are in your bank account, you can use this new enhancement that enables you to reconcile, and reconcile from within Excel. That's where most of you are doing your work anyway. So we're leveraging, again, our Microsoft tools to enable you to do that. So in this particular case, we have unmatched transactions, potentially matched transactions, so we can pick out and say, you know, these values are very similar. Are they the same? And then you have, obviously, the reconciled or the matched transactions. So, you know, you have the general ledger account here on the right-hand side, and you have your reconciliation, bank reconciliation transactions from your bank here on the left side. A nice, slick, combined view of the information. From this Excel sheet, you can drill back into Dynamics GP, view that inquiry information, and potentially make changes if you need to, or alterations to the data to make sure that it does reconcile appropriately. So this, I'm sure many of you here joining us today are going to find that this particular enhancement is going to save you several minutes, if not hours, within the day to do your reconciliation to GL. Pretty cool feature that was brought by the team. Fixed assets in this particular release has gotten a lot of attention. So we've done some major enhancements that enable the fixed assets module to even further extend its capabilities. Whether we're talking about the inclusion of analytical accounting, so that you can place analysis codes on those assets and have them roll appropriately through down to the general ledger and into fixed assets. Intercompany transfers. So many of you out there today would have to sort of retire your assets within the system and then create an asset in the new company. We brought to you intercompany asset transfer. So all the book values and so forth of that asset will also be transferred into that new company. Real exciting. Calendars, auto-generate asset IDs, historical depreciation reports. So you can say as of January or as of October of 2010, what was the depreciated value of this asset? So you can go back in time and run that really neat enhancement brought within the fixed asset module within Dynamics GP. Other enhancements, e-reconciliation, we have a new file format, so we can extend the capabilities there and make it easier for you to do e-reconciliation transactions, in essence downloading transactions from your bank into the system. So the BAI format was an ever-growing requirement, so we've incorporated it. Encumbrance management, so when you're tracking purchase orders maybe against budgets and so forth, there's some enhancements there. Vendor credit card invoice automatically voided when credit card payment is voided. So you don't have to go ahead and do that double entry and so forth within that process. You can go ahead and do a single voided transaction and it will void out the completed transaction for you. You can edit the payables transactions to remit addresses. You can reprint checks and remittance forms more easily within the system. Again, these are all capabilities built within the core application. And many of these enhancements are extended into the browser capabilities as well, because again, the browser capability is really just reading that screen within the desktop client and pushing it out to the web. User-defined fields. Perhaps there are characteristics that you would like to track for each one of your customers that the system doesn't hold those data points, and you don't want to use Extender or you don't want to do a dexterity customization. You'd like to use the user-defined fields. You can do that within the Dynamics GP application and then enable you to go ahead and do queries and smart lists and track that unique information. Ability to do multi-currency transactions is also really nice within the 2013 release. Some payroll enhancements and PTO management. You can go ahead and stop duplicate check printing. You can go ahead and audit and pay codes within the system as well. So as you're generating your check run, you have the ability to update, I'm going to say it wrong, FUTA and SUTA and workers' comp data within the employee records. So again, we're just making things a little bit easier for you rather than having to post an adjustment in a transaction screen. You can update that information in the transaction screen. HR has gotten some enhancements as well, and requisitions, you could generate a report. It was a little bit clunky to go ahead and figure out what you had outstanding in HR. Now we've just created a navigation list so you can query down on that data and view it in a pretty relevant way. inactivate items or sites. So rather than putting an item as inactive, which in essence restricts it from being sold, when you put it on inactive now, it can also restrict it from being purchased. So you don't in error replenish an inactive item in your inventory that shouldn't have been. So those, again, are enhancements that were brought within the system. Bin transfer history, so you can determine where those items have been across the organization in the specific location. You have also the ability in sales order processing to select multiple serialized items at a time. You used to have to click one serial number at a time to get it onto an order. You can now do that in a single click by clicking your control button, selecting the serial numbers that you'd like to select, serialized dropship items as well. The other area that we have in terms of is tolerance handling. When you're receiving a purchase order, are you under a quantity or over a quantity, and are there tolerances that you as an organization are willing to undertake? You can set those up so that you can mark an item if it's under received by and is within the tolerance threshold. It can then be marked as fully received. If you've got 3,000 items and you've got 2,990 and 10 is fine, you can go ahead, accept the 2,990 and still mark that purchase order as been fully received, so it will go into invoicing. Obviously, it's going to update for those 2,990 items and costs associated with it as well. Field service also got a lot of attention within the system today with return RMAs, return merchandise authorizations, cross-ship capabilities, item descriptions, issuance of credits automatically within the system as well. And with that, what I'd like to do, that sort of talks about just some of the enhancements that we have within Microsoft Dynamics GP 2013. And so what I'd like to do now is turn the talking points over to Ed Crawford here, and he'll talk to you exactly how you get to 2013 and what the considerations are to go ahead and do that. So Ed, you have the floor.
Well, thank you, Rich. I'll just let you, rather than change presenters, you can just flip slides for me if that would be okay. So my name is Ed Crawford. I'm actually located here in the Mid-Atlantic. I work with existing customers on the Dynamics product line, and I too, like Rich, have been working with the Dynamics products for many, many years. I think I'm going on my 13th year now, working with the Dynamics products. So with this slide, what you're seeing is we really tried to keep with the theme that Rich talked about in keeping things simple. Especially when it comes to the pricing. For you all that are on module-based pricing, there's a lot of SKUs. For you all that are on BRL pricing, there were still a fair number of SKUs. In the new 2013, all of those are being reduced down to 7 SKUs. Not that we're reducing functionality, and you'll see, and you've seen what Rich showed, you're getting a lot more functionality, but it's a lot simpler to absorb within the organization. I mean, the idea is that we want it to be easy for you all to take additional work streams and work processes, as Rich described them, and deploy them within your organization. The other thing here I would point out is that the users are all now concurrent, whereas in the past you had a mixture of named and concurrent. They will all be concurrent, which greatly simplifies the user count and how you have to do those. So let's drill down into these on the next couple of slides. And when we get to this next slide, Rich, I would remind everybody, go ahead and flip it. Okay, thank you. So this is a busy slide, and I will remind that KTL will make this slide deck available to all the attendees. So don't worry about screen capture and writing all these things down. You can get copies of this entire deck. But this is the starter pack. I mean, this is no matter what you own in GP, when you transition over to GP 2013, you would always get the starter pack. I mean, it's just a given and it's included. One of the things that I would point out when I talk about you're getting a lot more functionality, for example, is in the middle column there, you'll see that you get unlimited payroll. So payroll and HR are now included, and those are modules that historically, had a pretty big price tag to them. So this is the first SKU, and it's called the starter pack. Go ahead and flip the screen, Rich. And this is the extended pack. So this is the second SKU. The vast majority of customers, this starter pack may be the only SKU that they need. And I also may add that this starter pack includes 3 users, but I'll show you how the users map as well. But you can purchase an additional extended pack. If you already own any one of these individual items that you see on this page, when you transition, you will get the entire extended pack. Go ahead and flip to the next one. And these are the final 3 packs. So we went from all of those SKUs in prior versions literally down to 7 SKUs. So in addition to the starter pack, the extended pack, we have these 3. So an extended HR payroll pack, a smart list, and a customization pack. And that's literally how simple it is to acquire the licenses in GP 2013. Go ahead and flip to the next one. Click it 3 times just so we can. What this slide is intended to show, whoops, back up one, is we're going to focus exclusively because I would imagine that everybody on this call is an existing customer. So there are different rules for new customers and how to acquire GP 2013, but since everybody on this call is, for them, I would imagine, an existing GP client, we're going to talk about just that last column. So go ahead and flip the screen there, Rich. There are 2 migration options, and it was based upon when you acquired your GP application. And again, I would imagine that everybody on this call acquired it before October 1st of 2012. If that's not the case, again, at the end of this presentation, we're going to have opportunities for you to reach out directly to KTL and go down through any specific questions you've got, any particular scenarios that we're not covering on here. We want to cover kind of the core processes. Go ahead and flip, Rich. So this is meant to show that you're getting functionality like for like. So again, if you owned, functionality in GP 2010 or GP 10, you're going to get all of that functionality in GP 2013. The users will map over 1 for 1. So if you have 20 users today in GP 2010, you're going to get 20 users. And again, the light users and the ESS users, which are named, will become concurrent users. Next slide. There were some changes made back in July as far as how we handled light users. So if you owned light users prior to July 11th, it automatically gets converted 1 for 1 into a limited light user. And then if you bought them after July 11th, the conversion ratio is 3 to 1 or 6 to 1, whether they are a limited light user or whether they're an ESS user. But again, everything is going into a concurrent user. Again, trying to simplify the license model. Next screen. So let's look at a specific example here. So this is just to have something and have some numbers on it. If what you own today is on the left-hand side, this is how you would map into GP 2013. And the things that I would like to point out there is, again, the user count you can see on the left-hand side. You've got 1 in the foundation pack, 3 in the 7 additional concurrent AM users. Those will map over into a total of 8 users in GP 2013. 3 come with the starter pack, 5 additional full users. So again, you get the exact same number of users. Modules that you may own map into the appropriate pack. So for example, the integration suite becomes the custom or configuration suite. That maps straight over. So even though you are acquiring a lot more functionality because of the pack configurations, your protected list price of $64,515 does not change. You will actually acquire $82,000 worth of software, but the amount that you pay maintenance on every year does not change. Go ahead and flip to the next slide.
Trying to, I apologize.
No, that's fine.
There we go.
So again, trying to keep everything simple and trying to make this very easy for people to evaluate going to GP 2013 based upon the functionality and the things that it's going to bring to the table for your organization. The rules and upgrade rules are very straightforward. I mean, you have to be current on maintenance, which has always been the case. Your maintenance expiration date will carry forward. You're not even going to have to worry about a new date there. As I indicated on that prior slide, your protected list price will not change. So in the vast majority of the scenarios, you're going to be acquiring software valued at more than what you own today, but we are not changing that protected list price in the system. So your maintenance will continue to be based upon the number that you currently have unless you elect to add additional users. You will continue to have access to the prior version. Whoops, back up one. But you can't add users or modules to the prior version once you do the conversion. And that's how easy it is to acquire it. And I think that's it for my slides there, Rich. Yep.
Okay, so this is Mike with KTL. So for next steps, what we're doing for organizations that were participating in the webinar today is reach out to me. My contact information is there. Again, we're going to be making these slides available to everybody who is on the call today, and set up a time to meet with you guys to kind of go over and evaluate, does it make sense to move from the version you guys are currently on to 2013, and when does that transition make sense based on your business needs and requirements. So we would schedule an assessment with you guys where we come in and talk to you and at least give you some sense of a roadmap based on how you guys are currently deployed, when and if it makes sense to move to 2013. So that's something that KTL is going to be doing as part of this presentation. And again, we're making all the slides available to all the attendees. And then if there are questions, we're kind of monitoring chats. There have been a couple of questions and things that have come through. If you have any questions once we finish up the call, you have my email address there. Feel free to email those questions, and I'll make sure that if we can't answer them, we'll get Ed and Rich and the Microsoft Brain Trust to get the answers for us. But I'd like to thank everybody for joining us today. Hopefully this was an informative session, and I guess we'll see you next time we do a webinar. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you all.
Thank you all.